This video is sponsored by the Design Mechanism, the makers of Mythras. Mythras is a registered trademark of the Design Mechanism Inc., used with permission. All rights reserved. And so it begins. And yes, we are back. 2 weeks away. But we are back. Yes, we've been busy playing. Is it Lioness?
Lioness.
Or Lioness?
Look.
Yeah, because I'm sure.
1985. Look at the brownness. 1985.
Yeah, it's got that sort of like creamy coloured.
Yes. Well worn.
Yeah. So we've been off playing Mythras with one of the creators, Lawrence Whitaker, and yeah, we recorded it so you can see it live on YouTube if you're interested. I actually get to play, which was absolutely fantastic.
Very scarily as well.
Oh, I loved my character. And the interesting thing is, because I saw all the characters and I sort of like went to sort of like, oh, which one shall I pick? And I was literally going, oh, I'll try that one. No, I'll try that one. No, I'll try that one. So I was really pleased that Lawrence actually just said, well, I said to him, just do it randomly. Because otherwise I would have spent the whole week thinking that one, no, that one. And there's some nice changes in the rule system. Some of them where people really like, and some that people don't like. And sort of like saying, no, we don't like this. But I think it really captured the essence of Jack Vance's world.
Can I just say this point?
Yeah.
Mr. Pickles is a really nasty piece of work.
Oh, he's awful.
Do you know, I thought that. My favourite bit of it, I don't know if you watched it yet, Chugs, but there's a wonderful bit when Paul Longshanks' character, is it Tedney? Was that his? So Tedney?
Yeah,
Jedney. Was lying, shoulder dislocated on the floor in a whole load after a donkey jousting, and Lars turned round to Mr. Pickles and say, right, Mr. Pickles, you're there, your Bascle's there, what would you like to do? Right, are there any pockets to pick anyway?
I had a plan. I had a purpose with that. I mean, somebody had to pay.
Jenny was going
people bandages.
Character wasn't that good at bandaging, but he was good at procuring money to pay for ciders so that we could get some pain relief once that arm got stuck back in.
It's the whole thing of like seeking out the people who heckled you.
Yeah, I also had that dependency that it never came up, but I felt that if I wasn't stealing, something bad might happen. I don't know if any of you guys had something like that.
And yeah, because Surfod's was fall in love easily.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting because every time I rolled it, I didn't want to succeed. I actually wanted to fail because otherwise I would fall in love easily. But no, and I thought that we were just getting to the part that people's characters were coming out as well, so which was really nice. And I must say, the the barroom brawl at the end, the vision of those tankards being slid down to reload will probably stay with me for a long time. Which was, I know, I even had to make up poetry on the spot.
You didn't prepare that?
I didn't prepare it. I actually made it up on the spot. And as you were playing, all I kept doing was writing down rhyming couplets, and then thinking, right, if the next one comes up, I could use this or this, you know. So
brilliant! That is really well done.
It was fun, and it was nice to play. I must admit. So anyway, you're going to all have to slum it this week because. Instead of having the great Lawrence Whitaker GMing, you're back with me, okay?
Oh shit!
And be warned, be warned. I'm not having any of this. Your skill is 70. All right, then you got 78. I'll let you have it. No.
Hang on, allegedly that's in the rules. We have proof
in the Lioness rules or the Leoness rules, not in the core. I'm not having any of that. Oh, you're close. I'll give it to you. And it was a bit interesting that experience rolls were done at the end of the game.
Which is brilliant.
End of every session, which I thought was interesting that, you know, could you get a new skill? You know, and so that whole thing. And there's what was the money thing that has come out with the rules?
It was
affability,
prosperity, or austerity.
Affluence, which was an interesting thing. That was an interesting concept. Anyway, we are going to leave that world behind. I don't know whether or not we'll ever come back to it. Hopefully Lawrence will get in touch with us and we can finish off the adventure. I feel that we're narrowing down the leads. I think there's only going to be one lead left by the time we get there, hopefully. So we might come back for that one. But in the meantime, we're not going to stop playing. We're going to come back to the Odes campaign with me GMing, and we left the party on a job to the Dark Tower. And we left 2 weeks ago now, nearly 3, with a startling revelation that actually occurred. But before we get to that, in our usual way, I'm going to allow the players an opportunity to introduce who they are and who they will be playing tonight. And to start off with, we go to Chugawugga.
Hi guys, I'm Chugawugga. The character I play is called Gulliver. He originally travelled to the land of Odes with several others, one of them including Longshanks' character Hengist. He came across, he was sent by his former master, Master Healy, on a quest to find out more about sorcery. He had learnt his few spells from a travelling journal of a fabled magician that Master Healy had found out about. When he got over to Odes, he found that the use of sorcery was prohibited unless you joined one of the 4 orders. So he did join an order. His particular one was the Order of the Kraken, the Blue Order, specialised in spells involving around communication, transportation, and teleportation. As a sorcerer, he has the ability to shape his spells to how he sees fit. He can change various aspects of them, including range, power, number of targets that they can affect. And he can even combine several spells into a single casting. He has also other spells. He refers to them as his cantrips. They're based around the folk magic school of the Mythras rule set. And I shall pass on to Medivac.
I knew that was coming. Thank you. I'm Medivac and I play Hazard Khan. He is a nomad from the northern steppes of Odes. He's from this continent. He was separated from his tribe during it was a random attack by bandits, and he tracked them down south and low. But when he came back to his camp, they'd moved on and left him behind. which is the way of the tribe. So on that point, he kept going south, and he helped out farmers to find lost sheep, and he helped sheriffs to find criminals and bring them to justice. And then he fell into in with this motley group while doing a job for Count Bastian. And ever since, he's been with them, and he's grown. This is his new tribe, in a sense. He can't find his old tribe, so this is his new tribe, and he would die for them, and he almost has. Mr. Bartleby has saved him many times. Gulliver has saved him many times as well, even doing those strange things with his fingers, which Hazra hates so much. He really does. He detests them, and it worries him. Again, Hengist, he's in awe of Hengist because of all his steel suit and his prowess. Hazra does use a short spear and a scimitar, which he's very good with a scimitar. He's even better with a short spear. He does like to throw it at the most awkward moments, but it has never gone wrong yet. And with that, I shall pass on to Mr. Pickles.
I'm Mr. Pickles, and I play Bartleby Fumus, our team's theist. He serves Amriel, who is the light moon goddess, and through her, she's able to perform miracles, healing diseases and poisons from people, putting limbs back on people. He's not quite as high in the hierarchy yet to be able to bring people back from the dead or cure very, very serious wounds, but he's able to protect a lot, reverse fatigue, give people energy to keep going on. And recently he learned how to lay spirits to rest. So that's pretty cool. Besides his abilities as a theist of the Light Moon Goddess, he's also our team's historian, knows the land since he was based in this area. He once wanted to be a bard, but his hands were broken by thugs, and so now that's why he is a priest. Bartleby's big goal is to lift up the slums of this town, get better conditions, and he does so by volunteering, helping out as much as he can. And with that, I will pass on to Longshank CPG.
Thanks very much, Mr. Pickles. Hi guys, I'm Longshank CPG, and I'm playing the character Hengist. Hengist has been a born and bred warrior. That's all he's known, all his life. He was in a land across the sea, and then came over on the same ship with Gulliver, and there was various adventures and islands and painted men and pirates and storms and all that sort of thing. And then he arrived at Odest and Lindo, and everything sort of developed from there. Hengist is more recent times. He's now part of the noble house Galot, one of the three major houses in Lindo. They take a little bit more of an active role in protection and looking after the people. Some of the other houses are more sort of interested in trade, and Hengist doesn't know what the other one does, but they seem just to have a lot of parties all the time. But he's slowly sort of like getting really into the idea of looking after people and protecting the innocent and that sort of thing. He can fight very well with a sword and shield, although he's started to use his sword in two-handed mode at the moment. He's seeing how that's going. It's not going too well in combat, but that's because he's getting used to fighting in that format. He wears heavy plate armor, which is enameled green and has his family's crest of a rearing white horse, although nobody seems to recognize that crest because, of course, it came from different country and continent altogether, but he still wears it proudly because it reminds him of who he is and where he came from. He's slightly taller than average, slightly more well built than average, long blonde hair that he wears in pigtails, and he has a close cropped blonde beard as well, very much like his token, in case you can see that. And I will pass it on to Inwills now.
Thank you. Hang on, because oh yes, I'm up. Sorry, I just realised that my store was still up, so I just need to take that down while I talk. Yeah. Okay then. So we are currently in a rather exciting part of the game. The party have been hired by Gulliver's mentor, who's part of the Blue Order, and has been hired to fulfill what the Blue Order has to do. One of the jobs that Blue Order magicians have to do is make sure that the portals across the world are working and correct and guarded or unguarded or free from monsters, etc., etc. Gulliver's mentor has asked him to start to step up and to actually perform some of these duties now that he's growing in the ranks of the order, and the party are getting paid, the rest of the party getting paid to go out and sort out an issue with a portal on the Dark Tower, which is on an island off the southeastern coast of Lindo. It's a rather strange and peculiar situation because the party actually arrived when Gulliver's mentor was having words with a black-robed magician, a sorcerer who follows the Black Order, the Order of the Lich, and it appeared that there was some kind of debt that was having to be fulfilled. The party were hoping for a lovely 2 weeks of pay. However, they became aware that the Blue Order have a ship called the Kraken, and that has a portal in the bottom of it, and the party was ported to that. The ship was lying just off the coast of the Dark Tower. They battled some harpies while on the ship, and then they did a really fine job of rowing to the little pier at the end of the bottom of the cliff. They found that the pier was rotten. It wasn't 100%. It was bashed quite a bit, but they managed to scale up the side of the mountain, up the side of the cliff, until they reached the Dark Tower on the top of it. The surrounding area is very barren, very desolate. There seems to be an ongoing storm that is hailing down rain and thunder and lightning across, and they approached the Dark Tower and actually at the end of last session actually entered into it. It's very dark inside, it's very ornate, and the party started to make their way around the tower. They came past a room in which they went in. They're carrying lanterns aglow, and it sort of like showed the inside of the room. Something very strange is happening because they keep seem to find wooden furniture, but it looks like it's been shattered and splintered all over the place. But the peculiar thing about it is that the remnants of the furniture, there's not enough wood there. Something is either taking, or the rest of the wood is going away, and they haven't got to the end of that puzzle. However, when they went into the room at the end of last adventure, Gulliver saw a portrait. A portrait of a grand sorcerer decked out in a black robe, and underneath the bottom it was labelled Flagnag, which is the sorcerer that Master Healy, Gulliver's mentor, actually found the magic from. And that is where we left it last time, I think. So I'm going to, without further ado, I'm going to move you across. Just so you know, Zaz said hello to every single one of you, but not me. So I'm not.
Hi, Zaz.
Both your real names and your real names and your character names. Which
At least you know who's important.
Yes.
Not impotent. No, important.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I think this is the one that we're on. Yeah, we're right the way down here. I'm just zooming round so everybody can see it. So let me just go over to the small map, which is actually the big map. This is where we left it last time. You can see that the party have entered into the room. Just to let you know, all the grayed out bit, the party, this is what the party actually sees on the map. so they don't see everything else. That's only from my view. So there'll be many times when you might be able to see something on the stream, but they cannot actually see it, and that's why the players don't watch the stream at the same time. We left Hengist being a door, in the doorway, blocking off the door, and Hazra, Gulliver and Bartleby, you had gone into the room, and we will start it there. Yeah, so Gulliver, you've just seen this portrait.
Which wall was it up against? Whereabouts?
The one to the north of the
okay,
yeah.
So seeing it, Gulliver's when he turns around, he's just sort of like going to stop to begin with, and then just staring at it, and then very slowly he's going to walk across up to it. And does it have anything? Is there like a plaque written?
Yeah, just under almost like on the frame. There's a little plaque on there that says Flagnag. And as
say anything else?
No. As you look round, if you remember, there were other portraits up, and they all seem to have their names on it. Some of them are female, some of them are male. They don't have any titles or surnames. They just have one single word on it. You assume their name since it's capitalized, but the one thing that you do notice about every single one, and Hazra and Bartleby, you can probably see these noble pictures as well. Every single one is decked out in a black robe. Some of them are actually done up. Some of them have their hoods up. Some of them are just sort of like casually draped over their shoulders so you can see the finery underneath their robes. But every single one of the portraits are clad out in black robes. Along the northern wall where you are, Gulliver, there's probably about 4 on that wall, and then probably 2 to the east, 2 further down to the southeast, 4 on the bottom wall, and then 8 up the western wall. And
so Gulliver's going to almost like gingerly sort of like reach out his hand and almost trace the name on the actual plaque with his finger, and then he's just going to say Flagnag. How old? What type of person is he? Is he young, old?
You figure that he's about in his 40s, 50s. He's got very fine chiseled features. He doesn't look old and feeble. He looks very robust, but quite slim. He doesn't look bent or anything. You can sort of like see from about his waist upwards, and it's done in the classic pose. So his body is sort of like turned to one side, and he's sort of like gazing out. And he's got those, and every portrait in here does the same. It's that weird thing that when you look up, no matter which portrait you look at, they seem to be following you around the room. You can't see his hands are sort of like down on his lap, you assume, but you can't see them. Just to let you know, the other portraits, there are some quite younger members of the portrait gallery, and there's some considerably older people as well.
Does he have a pendant on or any markings?
Not from where you can see. He seems to be clad out as if he's going, from what Gulliver can sort of like figure out, it was a bit like when you went to Hengist's party. They seem to be not functional outfits that they're wearing, more going out outfits, finery. They look like they're almost like dressed up for the painting.
Gulliver's going to. Well, first of all, just a quick question: does Gulliver know who the current leader of the Order of the Lich is?
No
Could
idea.
I make a? Would I know it through maybe the Order of the Kraken?
You would know who's the leader of your order from that roll. You can roll it as formidable if you wish.
I'll give it a go.
No, you sort of like know sort of like your own order, but not necessarily any other order, and you haven't sort of like spent a lot of time sort of like investigating them. In any case, you've been totally absorbed by your own order up to this time.
Okay. Just last thing for Gulliver before I pass it over. He wants to start looking at the other portraits to see whether or not anything jogs his memory, whether or not he's ever seen any of them before. In particular, he's trying to remember back to when we were captured, and the Black Road magician.
Oh right, yes. With
nearly, well, tried to kill Hengist, but almost like didn't try to kill him, if you see what I mean. Used a very weak spell.
That was with the bandits.
Yes,
yes,
correct. And the
with the big snake coming out. The
big snake. Yeah.
Okay then. So
he wants to start going.
Okay, this might seem very irrelevant at the present moment in time, but which way round does Gulliver wish to go?
But that's the other thing that he wanted to check. The first thing that he wants to do is he wants to walk over here to this side at the bottom right hand corner, southwest corner, and to see whether or not he can tell whether or not those paintings maybe look more recent rather than older. Whether or not I could use my commerce skill.
Yeah,
for
okay
that.
then.
Or maybe just,
Okay, so you're going down there first, and then are you going to go around in a clockwise fashion then?
I'm going to go in a clockwise fashion.
Okay then.
And see whether or not I recognise any of the names. His thoughts behind the process is that maybe these are the past leaders of the Order of the.
Yeah.
And if so, then this one down here, he knows that if Fladnag was ever one of them, then it was a long time ago.
Cool. Okay.
So I think that the most recent ones are going to be down here, and if you can see whether or not the paintings are, well, yeah.
Yeah. Okay then. So roll me a commerce roll, but roll me a perception, and you can augment it from your commerce. And Bartleby, can I just say that beforehand I said these were ship's wheels, but they're obviously not. They're candelabras. Until I started to look in every room and saw, trying to figure out. So these are actually not on the floor. They're actually up on the ceiling.
They're on a stand. Oh, they're on a stand. Okay.
Yeah, they're sort of like hanging down from the ceilings.
With lots of candles on them.
Yeah, so you can actually go underneath them, but please remember they are chained up. So, things could be... A spear could be chucked at the right moment. Take the chain out and it can drop down.
But only on a critical.
I would like to use a point of luck on my roll and reverse the figures as well, please.
To 25. Yeah, that's cool. Okay then. So you can move your figure down to your token down to your starting point. Bartleby, what would you like to do?
Bartleby thinks that Gulliver we're still trying to find where that summoning portal is. So Bartleby's following Gulliver around, giving him the best light, assuming he's looking for that.
And you can see almost like does roll your insight, Bartleby, for me.
Insight. That. Oh, it did roll. Whew. I think Bartleby's going to keep it because he's just nervously looking at all the imposing paintings.
Yeah, and you're sort of like looking around and you're trying to figure out what Gulliver is actually doing. And you're not too sure what he's up to. You think he seems to be looking at the paintings, looking at the frames, looking at the names. He could just be sort of like deciding which one might fit into his pocket or be sold, you know. But you're sort of like
notice, however, that he does have one of his as he's looking at these paintings, he does have one of his hands inside his tunic.
Right. Okay then. So he's sort of like moving around, and you're keeping the light up there from your 93 out of 40. Nice, good roll to start off with. I understand what it's like now. That even though you've got a high skill, there is that chance that it's going to, you know, fail miserably. Unless you're me, of course, because I got an 8 critical. Nobody can beat nobody can beat, even though when the other guy critted as well, it wasn't as good as my crit. Hazra, what would you like to do?
Hazra, before anybody comes any further than where Hazra is, wants to just do one thing and one thing only. He's looking at the floor. He's trying to see through the detritus that's on there.
Yeah.
He wants to be going to the chair at the end here, while looking to see if any footsteps or any sign of activity has been around this area.
Yeah.
It's not his area of expertise because we're inside, but he jolly well wants to have a look.
Yeah, so roll your tracking at formidable, and we'll see what comes out of it. Ooh.
Does he? I would like to use a point of luck and reverse that, please, sir.
Okay.
So 39 out of 45.
Fantastic, thank you. So the first thing that you become very aware of is that, you know, and just to reiterate it, all the floor is marble, and it's very ornate. Where that yellow bit that you can actually see could actually be gold inlaid into the floor. And the darker colours are actually granite, and so the table is solid granite. The chairs have granite bases on it, and everything. And one of the eerie things about the granite is that it's almost like jet black. It doesn't have a lot of white little speckles on it or anything. It's completely and utterly jet black. There's no detritus in the room at all, but you do pick something up from your formidable roll. If you remember, the wood has been shattered
yeah.
and broken, and as you're sort of like walking around, you suddenly notice that the splinters seem to have been moved away from the origin. So even though this was probably where the cabinet was broken, you are finding little splinters right the way up here, as if something sort of like moved through them on the floor and spread them wider. There doesn't seem to be, it looks like they probably went one way and came back the other way. Are you going to check the top side, the northern side of the table as well?
Yeah, that was the plan to go around to the other side of the chair, basically.
Yeah, so you see exactly the same. It's almost as if the thing has been splintered, and it's just sort of like all broken. But it looks like something has moved through that. And thank you to Halo's Blade, who's just gifted a whole load of subs in my chat.
Oh, did I get? Oh, I just.
Thank you, Halo's Blade. Sorry, Halo's Blade. I don't have any alerts on when we're role playing, but I will definitely play it tomorrow. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate that.
After me, though.
Yes, yeah, I got yours and then Halo. So thank you very much for that. Okay, then. So you sort of like go around it, and that's what you find. Hengist, what's going to be your plan?
Hengist's plan's very simple. He's guarding the doorway. But what he will do is he will draw his sword, and he's going to be holding it. But he's going to be holding it between, so the point's just resting on the floor between his feet, and he's sort of like resting his hand very lightly on the grip, ready to spring into action if needed.
Okay. I would like you, please, to roll for me a perception roll. You've got very limited light out there, so this is more of a listening roll.
Nope.
No. Okay.
I got a very easy.
Take your helmet off.
Well, because it's 66 out of 41, and that's quite close. I'll give it. That's within 100. You can have it. No, you. If anything, it's quite eerie because it's completely quiet. And even inside this building, the walls and everything seems so thick that you don't even hear the raging storm outside at all. So let me just check Gulliver's. Yeah, so you notice as you go round that it's not necessarily their dress that changes, but you do notice that the actual frames are changing, and it sort of like reinforces what you were thinking, that there seems to be two chronological passes going on here. It seems that the one where you are now is old, and so is the one up here. That is old. And they get younger and younger and younger to this point here. So it's almost as if you sort of like figured that when this was an empty room with no portraits at all, the first portrait probably stood above that chair. And then as more were coming in, then they were moved to one side and then moved to one side and moved to one side and moved to one side. And following this round, you do notice that this frame is probably the newest. And you also notice that from your commerce as well, that the finish on the portrait is quite good. You know, it still looks very new. It's oil, and it's been painted very nicely.
What's the name?
It seems to be of a quite youngish man. Seems to be about 20-ish. Very noble looking, and very sort of like almost like Gulliver relates it to, you know, the people at the social parties that were very up themselves and very sort of like condescending, looking down on everybody. It looks a bit like that. And the name that's actually written across it just says Gwen. Okay, that's all it says. It says Gwen. But instead of the normal G, it's a Q. So it's QWEN. And that's what it says. Just there's no other embellishments or anything. It just says that word on it.
Okay. Gulliver's going to he's going to turn around and he says,
Bartleby sort of like on your, like a little pirate, a little parrot on your shoulder.
He's going to say, I think it's where the Order of the Lich meet. I think these portraits are of the past and present leaders of the Order, almost like maybe a council meeting chamber away from prying eyes.
Well, I guess that's good information to have, but
We need to find a library or more information about who might have been here and where they might have gone after this.
I thought we were trying to find the portal.
We are part of it, but the portal's not going anywhere.
The Gulliver's mentor also gave you the side quests as well. So the portal, but she also wanted to know if you remember the Black Robe magician. They weren't too sure whether or not he was kicked out or left on his own accord. And Aubrey, yeah, and they are concerned about what's actually happening in the tower.
I'd just like to maybe figure out our exit before we start kicking any hornet nests. Gulliver, I'd feel a lot more comfortable, especially since we have horrifying rooms like this with terrifying people staring down at us in a cold. I just don't want to be chased down those pegs in the side of this rock.
We have an exit. We have the Kraken.
But I don't. Do you think we could flee down those pegs sticking out of the side of the? I don't think we could flee very quickly. Not without risking falling down.
If you're worried, Bartleby, I'll teleport you down to the bottom.
Then cancel it.
Yes.
That worries me a little bit more, actually. If we see the library, we'll go in there. But I think if we see a room that could possibly have the portal, we should make that important.
Can I hear what's being said at the moment?
Yeah. Who was that character out of the Belgrade series that used to push people into?
Bell, yeah.
Yeah, I liked him. Yeah. I mean, they're not making any attempt to sort of like talk in hushed tones.
Well,
and the weird thing about this place is that it is very echoey because soft furnishings have been removed.
Actually, we'll glance across and say, I agree with Bartleby. There's something of great power has come through this room, and if you see the floor, the wooden bits and pieces that have been torn away from wherever they come from, they flow this way and then they flow that way. So something has come through here and gone through that way and back up on itself, back out the door by the looks of it. So I think we should find our exit first, so at least we know where it is. We don't need to move like we did in the other place, move the boxes off or whatever is going to be blocking this thing like a carpet or whatever. But then at least we know where it is, and then we can move forward from there.
Gulliver just like, oh, okay.
We'll definitely find out more about this Gwen character if we see a library. Perhaps we should make some haste.
That is true.
Bartleby will start moving towards the door, assuming Gulliver's joining him.
Okay then. So from the doorway, just to remind you, Hengist, you came from the south up to here. The corridor continued up. And there was an entry. It came out into another corridor. You think there was no more doors on this sort of like pathway. Remember that going south. Just to remind you what you saw, I'm just going to move Bartleby's character like this, so you can remember. So down here at the front there was these pillars and two sort of like sets of stairs that went into open doorways, and then there was a big corridor going straight up as well. And you came down here, and if you remember, you were going to go past, but then Hengist's strategic mind came in and said, really and truly, we should make sure there's nothing in these rooms. So yeah, so where would you like to go next?
Gulliver's going to have gone back over to the wall where the portrait of Flagnag is, and as everybody files out, he's almost going to be looking up at it, trying to embed it into his memory what the person looked like before joining the rest.
Okay. So yeah, Hengist, which way are you taking the party? I think the marching order was Hengist, Bartleby, Gulliver, Hazra.
I think so.
Yeah,
we can go with that.
Gulliver's going to try his best to leave last.
So Hengist will carry on going up the corridor. Now that we've cleared this room, he's going to finish walking up this corridor.
Okay then, cool.
Azure will wait out the door until Gulliver passes him, basically. He won't move forward until Gulliver's back.
Until he's in place.
Yep.
Okay then, so as you come up to this big corridor, I'm just going to move you...
I moved? All right, okay. No, that's fine.
I'm just going to move you up so you can see that you're in almost like a double wide corridor. This is definitely sort of like 2 tokens deep. It's almost like a main thoroughfare, very much like the entrance corridor. You can see that it stretches off to the east as far as your torchlight can see, probably continues on. To your west, Hengist, you can actually see a few things. I'm just going to move. Hengist, do you want to move into the corridor so you can get the light in there?
Yes, Hengist will move into the corridor, but he'll be keeping an eye out on both ways in case anything's going to rush the party.
Yeah, so once you get there, Bartleby, you can move yourself. Hazra. You can see that the corridor continues off to the east, double wide. You can see that there's a small doorway entrance here, and another small doorway entrance here. As you look, Hengist, across there, you can see that both doors, there's a bit of remnant of the wood still attached to those hinges that would have stretched out along the door, but that's all that's left of the actual door. There's nothing else it's just like a doorway, and that's it. And apart from that, there's absolutely... This place is eerily silent.
Are the cobwebs still around, or they sort of disappeared?
This part almost like looks as if it's lived in, but at the same time, there's no sort of like sign that of people or inhabitants or anything.
Okay. So Hengist will wait for everyone to file out of the small corridor, and then say, I think we should check those rooms off to our left first. There's 2 rooms down there. One looks slightly smaller than the other, and then we can work out where to go from there.
Okay, so you can move yourself down, Hengist, to where you want to be, and then the rest of you can sort of...
the door first.
Okay, and then everybody can file up into the gap. Is Gulliver staying in the dark?
Oh, sorry. I thought somebody else was moving me.
So in front of you, Hengist, this room, you can see inside it. It seems to have on the sort of like the northern wall. Just inside, I'll just move the light, but there seems to be some kind of urns. They're quite tall, they're quite ornate. They seem to be sealed there seems to be a cover over them, some kind of cloth cover or ceramic cover, and you can actually see from where you are a series of wax, almost like sealing it down from the top, and then directly in front of you seems to be like a steel coffer. From where you are at the moment, it just seems to be there's no massive lock on it or anything like that. It just seems to be a solid metallic coffer. You can see to the north, you can see that doorway there, and it seems to go in, and there seems to be a set of stairs going up to almost like a dais, some kind of raised platform that you can see, but the room seems to be there seem to be two sort of like aisles down either side at ground level, and then it seems to go up to another level.
Okay. Hengist is going to go into the room that's right in front of him first. He wants to make sure it's completely clear. So as he goes in, he'll peer to the darker corner, and then when satisfied that the room's clear, he'll go and see what's in the chest.
Yeah. Okay then. So Hengist goes into the room and starts investigating chests and coffers. What's the rest of you going to be doing?
Bartleby wants to quickly say, hold on, before you touch anything in this creepy room, and then he'll hold out the torch for Hengist to hold for a moment. So Bartleby wants to wave his arms and gain himself the vision of Amriel, if he may.
What was that monster manual? Was it a trapper that used to look like the floor? And then once you stood on it, it would...
Oh, no, what was it? It was... I'm
sure there was a monster like that.
Oh, there was, yeah. It was almost
Not
like
mimic.
a mimic thing, wasn't it? But it was... Mimic used to do the chest, didn't
Yeah,
it?
That's right.
Yeah. Would you like to take minutes over this?
Yes.
Okay then. So you do a whole load of waving around. Hengist, you probably get a little bit impatient holding the torch, and you sort of like finish casting your witch sight, Bartleby. You sort of like gaze around the room to see if there's any sources of magic in the room, and it's completely and utterly devoid of any magic at all. None of the objects seem to be magical. None of the floor doesn't seem to be magical. The ceiling doesn't be magical. It looks absolutely mundane.
Well, you guys can rest assured, after I worked up a sweat, there are no death curses in this room.
Or none that he found.
Through Amriel, I'm pretty sure I'm right here.
That's good to know, Bartleby. And then Hengist will offer the torch back.
I'll take it, of course.
With his left hand, because whilst he was waiting, because he'd still got his sword drawn, he was resting it on his shoulder, and then with his sword, and you just heard of it clicking against his armor as he was like shifting it in position. And then he's going to go and open the coffer and see what's inside.
Yeah, you sort of like kneel down, put your sword down, lift up the coffer, and it's absolutely full of silver pieces. Real silver pieces. There's several hundred in here, maybe even approaching 1,000. They all just they're not in bags or anything. They're just thrown in here, and there's not even a lock on the actual coffer. It's just as if there's just sort of like being thrown in there, and sort of like the lid has been closed. While that's happening, Gulliver and Hazra, what are your plans? What would you like to do?
Well, Hazra... Sorry.
No, you go on.
Well, Hazra's primary thing is literally looking behind us and watching down the corridor. I've moved about there. I'm staring down the corridor, just keeping an eye out, basically. That's what he's doing.
Okay, then. And what's Gulliver planning on doing?
Is there any sign of how this building was lit, when it was in use? Are there brackets, torch brackets?
Not on the actual corridors. There's in the room before you saw the candelabras, but in these sort of like corridors, there seems to be no brackets on the walls or anything like that. Whether or not they actually carried light with them when it was, or if it was used, or you're not too sure.
Okay, so Gulliver wants to take his backpack off. He wants to take his torch out of his backpack. It's a 6-hour torch, and he wants to use his flint and tinder to light the separate to light a second torch, and then he'll put his back on.
Cool. There you go. That's your torchlight. Say again, sorry.
Will he have time to move as well?
I just need a perception check from Hazra, please, before anybody else starts.
Certainly.
Ooh, nice.
That's a 20.
91 perception. That is quite.
I know.
Have you got Discord open?
I can have Discord open. Yeah, it is open.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm going to send something to you.
And now we know why Hasra doesn't like the cities. He can never sleep.
I never sleep.
He just hears next door and next doors, next doors,
Yes.
next doors, next doors, and
Stop
that
throwing
cat down the
feathers.
street.
Yes. Stop throwing pins. Put the feathers down.
There you go. Yes, Gulliver, what would you like to do?
So if he's got time, Gulliver just wants to sort of like enter here, and he just wants to hold up the torch bracket and the torch and try to shed as much light into the corridor, whatever that he can see.
You can see the main set of stairs going up, very ornate, gold inlay. It looks like interesting that there's 2 skulls on either side. Looks like it's been inlaid into the granite. The circular things that you can see at 4 corners, there's actually one down here as well that you would be able to see as you move the torch around. Seem to be on the floor with little legs, so they don't sort of like raise up off the ground, but they are semi hemispheres of what appears to be some kind of metallic bowl,
like a brazier.
Yeah, but not as high. They're very low, and you can see in each one, almost like following on from your idea, that there are sort of like coals in there, coal and soot. It doesn't look like they've been lit recently, but this is probably what they were used for, almost like to light the room. You can see that the stairs go up along, and there's a raised platform. You would have to sort of like go up the stairs to actually see what was actually on that platform from where you are. Okay, let's go back to let's go back to Hengist and Bartleby, because you've now looked in the chest, in the coffer, Hengist, and you've seen that it's full of silver coins. What would you like to do?
Hengist will very carefully close it and turn to go back to Bartleby. He's satisfied there's nothing else in this room, and he knows that he can't really steal from this place.
Okay, so you come back outside. Bartleby, is there anything you would like to do specifically?
Bartleby just nods approvingly that Hengist isn't a robber right now.
Okay.
And he's going to stick around to see what happens next.
And Hazra...
Hazra's going to move and approach Bartleby and Hengist as they come out. And hopefully Gulliver will hear this as well, although he's moved into the next room slightly. But he's going to whisper very quietly. If there's something down the corridor, it's like a tap, 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 tapping noise down the corridor.
Very descriptive, thank you.
Should we go investigate then?
We probably should. We don't want to leave any threats behind us.
They say this place is deserted. To have somebody tapping something or some tapping noise It could be just water dripping. I don't think so. It sounded too. I'm assuming it sounded too on stone or wood, or rather than just water dripping.
It sounded very. It was one of those sounds that
Clinical.
you couldn't actually track down to where it was. It seemed to be echoing round the place. The rest of you make a perception roll, but because Hazra sort of like told you about it, you can have it as easy now that you know what you're listening for.
Yeah, you have to go beyond easy, really.
Oh,
Yeah,
better.
Everybody just sort of like stands there for a while and says, "No, Hazard, there's no tapping. There's no tapping at all." And just out of interest, Hazard, during that time, you don't hear it either.
Yeah. Well, Bartleby did it.
Bartleby, you don't hear anything, Bartleby. Nothing at all.
Oh,
My ears are great.
maybe the illness this place is affecting my mind. I don't know. Maybe
It is a
I'm
pretty
hearing things.
creepy place. Maybe we should keep going down there just in case. Gulliver, do you see anything of note in that room?
I think it's this way.
You do? Well, we should go there if you think the portal's there.
The portal or the noise, Gulliver, that Hazra heard.
What noise?
Hazra said he heard a noise, a tapping from down the corridor. Well, from somewhere.
It's an old tower. Master Healy's house always used to make strange noises. Look how ornate this room is. Look, it's almost like, important people. This is the way that they would be brought in to the meeting room. Maybe.
Perhaps we should. So Hengist will take a few steps. So he's standing behind Gulliver. So obviously, being tall, he can see over the top of Gulliver's head into the room, and say, if you think the portal's this way, Gulliver, then yes, by all means, we should look in this room.
But the other thing is, I talked to Mistress Duncan before we left, and asked whether or not she knew where the portal would be in the tower, and she said on the ground floor. And if it's up those stairs, then it won't be on the ground floor, will it?
The stairs going up in the middle of the room are very similar to the stairs at the entrance. They're obviously not going to another level. You don't think you've found the stairs that either go up or down yet. This just seems to be some kind of ornate dais that has been created.
Well,
Okay, Gulliver's going to step into the room then.
And Hengist will be hot on his heels behind him.
Yeah, Hengist can walk past him if he wishes. You can move through friendly tokens in any case.
He'll try to move through the wall there. So Hengist will walk in and he'll walk towards the right, keeping his back to the wall.
Okay, so is Gulliver just stepping?
No. I mean, Gulliver's thing is to head up the stairs.
So you're just sort of like marching into the room.
I'm doing it. I'm going in. I mean, before you went on to the other things, I wanted to sort of like spend a bit more time sort of like looking at the walls, see whether or not there was portraits on it or anything else on the.
So do you want to go up the stairs and do it up there, or do you want to?
I mean, he'll be walking in, but he'll be taking in his surroundings.
Yeah. Okay. Then how far do you want to walk?
You go all the way up.
Okay. So Gulliver sort of like strides in, sort of looking around the walls as he goes in. Bartleby, what are you planning on doing? Hengist, you move to one side. Bartleby, what would you like to do?
Bartleby would probably walk in and go kind of off to the other side
Okay.
compared to Hengist.
Cool.
Just looking around nervously.
Yeah. And what about Hazra? What would you like to do?
Again, Hazra will follow last into the room, and he will be checking the floor. He'll be looking for wood splinters, anything that shows that if something has moved through this place. Unfortunately, the back, so he's kind of struggling because he knows everybody else has moved through first. But he wants to try to look at areas where they haven't gone.
Okay, so
and just try to see.
Are you staying in the doorway, or are you actually going into the room?
No, I will be going into the room, but
Okay.
literally just through the other side of the portal.
Yeah.
like
Could
so.
you just roll me a perception roll, please?
Yes, indeed. That's an 18
Yeah.
out of 46. Formidable.
So as you sort of like, you've obviously been rear guard for a while, and you've been sort of like keeping an eye out, and you watch everybody go in, the light sources go in, and you sort of like move in, and as you move in, almost like in your peripheral vision, just on the edge of the light as it disappears, you sort of like catch something out your eye, your peripheral vision, and sort of like look round. It looked like it was something that was very low, maybe some kind of animal that was very low to the ground. It seemed the reason it attracted your attention was that it was almost like the light caught it, and there was a shine, a shimmer.
Yeah.
But you sort of like didn't see it. You quickly look, but when you look, you can't see anything. You're not too sure whether or not it was the shine or the movement or whatever. It looked quite small, about this size, but very low to the ground.
Yes.
But maybe only about this high.
It's triple.
Yeah, something a bit like guinea pig size, maybe.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit bigger, a bit like a car. What's it? A Carabari are they? But
Yes,
with
yes.
smaller legs. Capybari, I think. Yeah.
Seen anything moving behind him, Hazard will spin to one knee and have his spear ready.
Yeah.
Just he's not sure why. He thinks he's seen it, but him the tap tap tap, and then it's suddenly going quiet. It's in his mind. It's this crazy place.
It is a
playing tricks and
crazy
things.
place. It's not a sort of place that Hazra likes to
Hazard does not like it one bit.
be in at all. Gulliver, you get to the top of the stairs, and as you look around, this room is very dissimilar to the previous room. If anything, it's completely devoid of everything on the walls at all. There seems to be these black inlays down either side. And up at the top, you can see that there's just here and here, there seems to have been some kind of soft furnishing, some kind of chair, and you notice that all the wood's gone from it, and all the almost like the padding from the chair is all sort of like spilt out. You can see an entrance to the north. However, this one is completely different from the other entrances that you've been in through, because this obviously wasn't a door. You can see that it seems to be some kind of curtain. The curtain looks like it's been gnawed a bit from the bottom upwards, and it's still pushed to one side as if somebody's opened it. The curtain rail is on your side, so the curtain would drop down in front of the door, shielding it from where you are at the moment. However, it is pulled back, and it looks like it's sort of like it's all threadbare, and it's sort of like raggedy round the edge. The other thing that you all notice once you get into this room is that there's definitely that acrid smell of over incense that's been hanging in the air for a huge amount of time. It's not that sweet smell. it's almost like an acidic smell that's sort of like catching on the back of your throats. It's not sweet or anything, and you don't think it was probably started off like this. You think it's just because it's hanging in the air. You know, you can't see fog or anything. It's just that the smell seems to be within the room. Yeah, what does anybody wish to do?
Angus, noticing that Hazra has dropped to one knee with his spear.
Oh, yes!
We'll say what he heard, Hazra. Something coming. Readying his sword, so he's got it in two hands now, sort of like at chest height, ready to spring into action as needed.
Azure will whisper in that kind of side voice, so he's not projecting his voice forward, kind of backwards, as he's still looking forward. He'd be like, "Hengist, my friend, this place, it must be playing tricks. My mind, I thought I saw something small and rodent-like, but it is gone now. It's just a glimpse in the corner of my eye, and with that and the tapping noise." Oh, excuse me. I don't know.
It's giving me hiccups.
I don't know what to make of it.
So as Haz was saying that, Hengist will sort of like take one hand off his sword, bring it down to waist height, put his left hand on Haz's shoulder and say, "I understand. This is a bit of an edgy place. We'll keep our guard up though." And then sort of like take his hand off his shoulder and pass him sort of like on the back of the shoulder blade, and then turn his attention back to Gulliver, and then walk up the diocese steps.
Yeah, Bartleby.
So he's parallel with Gulliver.
Yeah, Bartleby, can you just roll your devotion skill, or if you've got a passion or a law skill about religion or anything like that, that would be just as good.
I would prefer to use my devotion.
That's absolutely fine. Yeah, this room reminds you of some kind of a place of worship. It's very much, it gives you that feeling of religion, and almost like this raised platform at the end where sermons could be given, and the either side, this sort of like lower down of the congregation, and with the braziers in the corners that were obviously burning some kind of incense. It just screams to you worship. Some kind of or maybe worshipping a deity, or even worshipping a person. This whole area is set out as if to say somebody who's stood up at the top is in charge and everybody else is sort of like down. You would have thought it could be nobility to start off with, but the ornateness of it and the braziers, that doesn't ring true. Yeah, very much so. Zazza said, "What's a film that says I have a bad feeling about this?" What's that film? Is it Aliens when they said I have
Game over, man?
Yeah.
Game over.
Not quite yet. You know, it's game over when Hengist uses his luck. Then you know. Then you know.
Session's over.
Then you know it's game over.
Last week I was impressed.
Oh yes, it is. It's from Star Wars, isn't it?
Is it Star Wars?
Yeah, it's when they go down into the dumpster or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, into the alley.
Yeah,
Trash
and he's
compactor.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, trash compactor, sorry.
something does move behind my leg.
Oh my god, it's coming to real life.
Yeah. Okay then. Yeah. So Hengist, you sort of like move up, so you're next to Gulliver. Bartleby, you get this feeling. Hazra's down on one knee with his spear pointing in the general direction. Gulliver's looking around and suddenly realizing that there's nothing on the walls, completely a stark contrast to the last room you've been in, and also this idea of the curtain that is up at the top. So yeah, what would you like to do?
Wants to cast a spell and hold it.
Yeah.
So the spell that he's casting is that
Cool.
going to take him three turns to.
Yeah, so that's 5. You know, you can cast that within those 5 seconds. That would be sort of like out of combat. That's quite quick, and because I think you have 3 actions per round, so that's absolutely fine. You're now holding that spell at the moment, so I think it just limits what you can actually do when you're holding it. I think.
Yeah, I think I can only walk or.
Yeah, but anything like physical combat or something, there's a chance. I think you roll your willpower actually to hold it. Yeah. Okay then. So you're all in this room.
Bartleby would like to share with everybody what he just kind of considered. I think this is a place of worship. But Gulliver, do any of the orders worship gods?
Not that I know of. I don't know a lot about the history of the orders on Odis, and whether or not they maybe worship the old gods. But wouldn't
I feel we should move quickly here. I don't feel we should be trespassing in this place of worship for too long, just in case.
Gulliver's going to move forward until to the next. The next curtain. Did you say the curtain was already?
It's pulled back. Yeah.
Pulled back. So he's going to go into the doorway and hold up the torch to see what he can see.
Yeah.
We'll follow as well.
Okay, and Bartleby and Hazra, you're following up as well.
Following if Hazard does.
In a nice long line. Very
yep,
nice.
Hazard noticing every moving up he will move up with them. But once he's stopped, he will turn around again and look behind him.
Yeah, cool. So you this room ahead of you from the front of the party now, you can sort of like look. You're not almost like distracted by Hengist's bulk in front of you anymore, and you sort of like look down, and this seems to be a very long room, a very ornate floor. It seems to have granite chairs on the side, and those black things that you can see are granite tables. So there seems to be 2 tables and 4 chairs here. And further up in the room, you can just start to see, I think,
another 2 chairs.
Yeah, another 2 chairs. You can see 2 candelabras hanging from the ceiling halfway down. You presume that, it's either this room ends very quickly or it's probably extremely long.
Okay. He's going to step through the doorway and start heading down.
Okay then. Everybody else following or?
Yes.
Is it wide enough for 2 people to walk next to each other?
Yeah.
In which case, Hengist will be walking next to Gulliver.
Okay then. So Gulliver, if you like to move yourself to where you want to stop, and then Hengist, you can move in, and then if everybody else moves up, otherwise you'll be caught outside the light. And they'd not been able to move. Okay, so you can see that there's only 2 chairs and 2 tables here. Then there's another raised platform that goes to a doorway beyond that. There's another 2 candelabras either side. This doorway up ahead appears to be just like a curtain, like before, on this side. You're not too sure what happens. Let me just see what you can see. You're not too sure whether or not it's a room through there, Hengist, or another corridor from where you are. Okay. You're not too sure about that. You sort of like move in, and Hazra, can you just make a perception check for me, please?
Yep, certainly. 14
nice.
out of 46.
You make a really good rear guard. Will you be sharing what you hear with everybody else?
I always do.
Yeah. So what you hear, just as you go out of that room, and almost like, again, on the edge of the darkness, the edge of the light, as the light moves, you sort of hear... There seems to be almost like something moving on the marble. It didn't sound like... It sounded like...
Well, skittering? Or...
Yeah. But nothing big. If anything, something quite small. But maybe a lot of them.
Oh, God, this reminds me of Sword and the Sorcerer, when in the sewers, and all the rats come. Yeah! Sorry.
There's no wood in this room at all. And there's nothing on the walls. There are some paintings, Gulliver, but they're not of people. It seems to be some kind of scenic pictures with buildings on them. So there's sort of like a tower in a valley, and then there seems to be some kind of old nomadic hall, rather like a Viking longhouse somewhere. And then there's another one that seems to be the entrance to a cave in the middle of a forest. There seem to be, it's almost like it's people live here, and it's almost like somebody's picked up images of where people live and put them down. The paintings themselves are not. Just make a commerce roll for me.
I don't know whether or not... Can I do stuff like commerce rolls when I'm holding spells?
Yeah, you're just looking. You're not doing anything major with them. And yeah, you sort of like look through, and honestly, these paintings would be worth zilch. They're not even well painted. And you almost like think, they would not even be sold on a market. Nobody would buy this. You if anything, you're a little bit disappointed. You don't think an artist has painted these.
Gulliver's more interested in the curtain again. Is the curtain rail on this side?
Yeah.
Once more. Right, okay, thank you. He's heading up.
Okay then. So Gulliver goes up to the next door. And what's everybody else going to be doing?
Hazra had just shared that he heard some skittering noises, like a bunch of things coming. So Bartleby is going to get a little bit closer to Hazra and kind of peer for himself, see if he can pick it up. He says to the rest of the group, "This, if Hazra's right, this might be a problem coming towards us."
Make a perception roll. You can make it. You can have it at easy.
Okay, did go. I got formidable.
Yeah, you sort of like. So like Hazard probably goes, "Shh, listen," and you sort of like strain to hear, and from a split moment, Bartleby, you hear it, but then it's almost like as you're quiet, this thing stops, and it was definitely coming from the room that you have just left.
But Bartleby is going to tug on Hazra's quilted coat arm and say, actually, I don't know if we want to confront this. Maybe we should get back. Hey, guys, I heard it too.
Yeah, I think we should move back too, but at least to an opening which we can control these things if something is coming.
I always say, so when anybody talks, it's a bit like this. I could hear it too, and it just seems to echo around the building as if.
Go.
Yeah.
Let us pull back to the doorway up ahead.
Okay.
So Bartleby does. he follows orders good. And
yeah, so move your token. So Gulliver, you're up at the front, and you're sort of like at this entrance. The curtain is pulled back. It's tattered at the bottom, but not up at the top. There seems to be a little room off to the west. This, you think, used to have a door on it, but that door has been splintered and shattered. And there's a corridor that goes off to the east.
Okay, Gulliver's going to say to Bartleby, he's going to say, are you sure you heard something, Bartleby?
I certainly heard something. It sounded like maybe a lot of things, or something with a lot of legs. Either way, I'm getting memories of a certain library with the giant centipede. I don't like it.
Well, aren't we best to confront what it is, just in case we have to go back that way?
I don't know.
I would prefer not to confront.
I was hoping, gesturing towards Hengist, that there might be a strategy or something that you might how to deal with this problem. I'm not the killer of armies of rodents or centipede
Bartleby,
things.
You're frightening people. We don't know what it is.
Well, that's why I'm frightened.
Let's just look.
No, I don't want to look with this tower of evil magic. And you want us to maybe just wander down back where we came from towards these noises? No, I don't think so. No, I think we should build a fire in this doorway, and perhaps we should stay here for a while.
If you're scared, Hazra, I could go.
Hazra's not scared.
And just being cautious. You know, well, this is. I can't see the sky from in here. I don't know. This building, it plays tricks with my mind. But I'm sure I heard these little skittering of tiny feet.
And you said that you heard them further down the corridor when...
Yes, before.
Hengist was trying to find what he could.
Yes, the thing is, when we are quiet...
When he was looking for the portal in a very small room with a chest.
That's right, in that little room he was in, yes. The thing is, when we are quiet, they seem to go quiet. They seem to be moving, whatever it is, or it seems to be moving when we make noise.
But they also seem to be following us.
Because we are making noise. Perhaps maybe Hengist should walk back the way we came. Because he's a man of, he's made of steel. These metal protects every part of his body. And then we can see what attacks him.
Well, there's two options. We can either press on or go back, as everyone seems to be petrified of these tiny scampering noises.
How good are you at throwing torches?
I would rather confront them on our terms rather than them hit us from behind as we're moving forward.
How good are you at throwing a torch? Could you maybe throw it from halfway down this corridor through the doorway at the end?
Yeah, anybody could. You could. Is it Hazra? You could probably hit a doorway.
I could throw into combat, hit an enemy.
Yeah, well, but it would just go on the dais, the raised part.
Would he be able to get it through down the stairs?
It depends how far he is away from the doorway, but he wouldn't be able to see. For example, it might actually go down and go on the floor, but you still wouldn't be able to see what's actually down there.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I personally, how I feel about this is, and I'm sorry, but these walls are getting closer to me, but I think that Hengist should make a bit of noise as if he's walking away. And if we stay quiet where we are, then perhaps maybe then we could throw your torch through. And if something's coming closer because Hengist is walking away, then
Am I
we'll be
able to hold a spell and cast another one or not?
I think it actually. Let me just check on that. Ba, ba, ba. Using magic. I always forget whereabouts it actually says. Is it in combat when it says about?
I think it is, yeah, because it's restricted during casting, and
it's under the hold magic. Once casting is complete, we roll a little different at that. You can hold the magic. You can hold the magic to cast it. The magic can be held back for as long as the player continues to take his actions, but allows free use of the counter magic spells. No, it's not in that. I know it's not. I'm sure it's in the actual using magic. Oh, here it is. All type of magic are cast in times. However, unless the character to totally disrupt casting normally requires the magician to be injured or mentally attacked. Minor wounds, serious wounds, major wounds, and mental domination. You can move at, or restriction, move at maximum walk, perform free actions or reactive actions. So you could actually cast a spell, a counter spell, but that's your lot, unless you just let the magic go, the spell go.
If we want to know what's in the what's following us, then if somebody can throw a torch as far into that room beyond us, where we've just been, as they can, and I could be ready to see what's there without them seeing me.
Let's do that then.
That'd make me feel a lot better.
Okay then, so if you'd like to move your character tokens to where you would like to be.
So Gulliver's going to sit on that chat.
Okay.
And I guess it's Bartleby's torch that's getting passed to Hazra to throw?
No, he can have Gulliver's, because Gulliver's got one and he's not going to be able to...
You're muted, Hazra, if you're talking.
I was, sorry. So it's the previous room, not the room we're in then.
No, it's the previous room where you heard the sound
Yes.
from.
Yeah. That's fine then. Thank you. I thought we were going to throw it in this room and then move into the next room.
No, just throw it through the doorway as far as you can, so it goes down the stairs.
Okay. What should I use for this? Would I use my
Just roll.
a combat or
No, just roll your roll your normal combat, and I'll just adjust the difficulty.
okay? So this is my throne, nomadic survival.
Yeah.
So the spell that I'm casting is that.
Yeah. Cool.
Sorry, I got a 45 out of 50 on a formidable.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So you can, in the previous room, whereabouts would you want it? Just to go down one side, yeah, and sort of like knock over to the floor, yeah.
Well, I'd be throwing it straight through the door, straight into the middle of the room.
Yeah. Okay then.
Yeah.
So Gulliver, just roll your invocation castings spell.
We got a 48 out of 99.
Yeah, cool. So the torch goes in, and you hear almost like a whole load of scuttering, and sort of like that. And Gulliver, you peer in. Okay, and
I would have tried to cast the spell so that when the torch, I was almost like going through the doorway as the torch was thrown.
Yeah, so you can see what's in it. That's not a problem at all. And are you going to be relating it back to the rest of the party? What you can see?
Yeah, once I
Okay then. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to put your token into the room so you can see. So as the token goes into the room, you see that the whole floor is almost like a total movement of what appears to be quite large black beetles. They seem to be scurrying around where the light hit and the torch is. They seem to be scurrying away from that at the moment, and they're sort of like going out of the door. They seem to move almost like a swarm. You notice that they seem to be touching all the walls as they go around. Some of them climb up a bit and then slip back down, and they seem to move out from the room and sort of like head down the corridor en masse, almost like trying to get away from the burning torch. And Gulliver, they move incredibly quickly. But the weird thing, they're a bit like a shoal of fish. They all seem to be moving. It's as if they're all connected with some kind of hive mind. And they go, just to let you know, they're about this big. And they're sort of like about this high. Hazra, what Gulliver says to you is exactly what you think you might have seen, and the shine is off their pitch black carapaces, their exoskeleton that is deep. It's almost like void black.
You'll see Hazra once Gulliver gives information, he'll start like scratching his arm a little bit, as you do, and scratches his arm and itching a little bit. And he's saying they moved away from the light. Well, we need to make this room as light as we can. And if you say it a bit more panicky, to be quite honest, we need to make this room a bit more lighter than we can.
I'll move Gulliver back.
Are there those torch braziers in here?
No,
there's 4 candelabras.
Yeah. Bartleby, could you just roll perception for me, please?
Absolutely.
They're here.
I got a 10 out of 36 for standard.
Yeah, you. So as Gulliver sort of like says what he sees and everything, up here you definitely hear a.
Bartleby is going to slowly peer around the corner into the room to see if he can see something.
Move yourself
like that.
Yeah, you sort of like peer down. There doesn't seem to be anything sort of like to the east or the west. You do, when you get to that point, you do think the noise is coming from the east. You can see the little room, that grey thing that you can see, Bartleby, seems to be some kind of urn. it's open top. You can't see inside it, but it's massive, and it sort of like stands sort of like up to your waist, and it's very bulbous as it goes around. You as you look at it, it's sort of like propped up on its by little, not feet but wedges going in at all four sides, sort of like keeping it upright. It looks massive, and it's open as well. It doesn't look like how anybody picked it up. You've got no idea. Not even Surfhod could have got his arms round to sort of like get it.
That was in Will's strongman character.
Yeah.
All right.
100 brawn. Come on.
As you look at it, say, more to earn?
Did you wish to look inside it, Bartleby?
Not yet. Bartleby is gonna.
You hear a new sound. It's a bit like a chicken's.
I've always said Bartleby is a little bit of a coward, but he's gonna relay back to the others. I think I hear something coming down from here too.
Please
somebody say, trapped. Why did we delay?
It's a trap! We kind of be in this room. There's only two exits. The one behind us is full of these creatures, and we must press on. Gulliver, you know about these places. Please lead on. Please save us.
Gulliver just come up here. He'll hold out his hand to take the torch from Bartleby.
Okay.
Bartleby will give it if Gulliver wants it.
What's down here? Sorry.
Hang on. Let me just take off Bartleby's.
What was that?
And that's the huge urn that's got an open top on it.
Okay, I'm headed down this way then. I'll head down to the next room.
Angus will make sure there's only a few steps behind Gulliver.
Okay.
All the way.
I'll just move you people into the light so you can be... Okay then.
I'm keeping rear guard as always, but
I'm very
flittery.
Better luck.
Okay. So yeah, you move in and you come into what appears to be a huge room. You can't actually see the far extent of it at all, but you get this feeling that it's almost like cavernous. You figure it's very tall. You think all the little steps that you've gone up has added to the height of this room, so the floor is actually down, and you can see that there's some steps here going down to another level. Just here I think you can see some steps going down as well. This is a pillar. This is a pillar. It seems to be there seems to be what remains of some kind of soft furnishing, but all the wood has been splintered. It seems to be an absolute huge room. So it almost the temperature noticeably drops in this room. It's you figure it's absolutely immense, and you know your little torch, Gulliver. Is it? Yeah, you've got the torch. You're sort of like holding it up, and it's almost as if the darkness of the hall sort of like absorbs the light. You can see within your torchlight some more of the braziers that you saw before, and they seem to be inactive. They seem exactly like the ones that you saw before.
Does it look like it has coals in?
Yeah, very old. They don't look warm or anything like that. A lot of charcoal that's sort of like being crushed up. So that's sort of like white ash. It looks like they were probably burnt once, but not cleaned out afterwards. And they're just what it would actually be after something has been burnt in it.
Just going back to the first room that we were in, one of the questions that Gulliver asked was whether or not he recognised the person from the, in all the pictures, whether or not he recognised the person that had us.
Oh yes, yeah. You didn't recognise. There didn't seem to be a picture of that person at all. No.
Okay. So this seems to be a raised platform here, but it seems to go down. So I'm going to head down. I want to try to get a view of what's in the middle from this platform. Or is the bit that's down here? Is this on the same level as me now?
No, that goes down again.
There's more stairs, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he wants to get to the edge, and he wants to sort of like peer over, holding so that you can get an idea.
Okay, so this thing here.
Thinking that's where I know, because I'm not. Yeah.
This thing here is actually a granite lectern. Something that you would stand in front of and to sort of like obviously talk to a congregation or announce at a conference. So these steps step down onto this dais. This dais is still not on the ground. You can see here, this goes down to a lower level. So this one is above that one. But therefore, there's also another drop down to this. You can actually see now that down on the bottom of the on the ground, you can see there's some kind of marking on the floor. It looks circular, and it's the first thing that you've seen in this place that is red. It's very different shades of red. It's dark red, it's rose, it's got a pink tint on it. It's not dark blood red or anything like that, but you can start to see it just on the lower deck. This is probably the lowest of the low.
Yeah, I'm going to move to the edge of this. I want to see whether or not it resembles the whether or not it's the circle for the teleporting.
Yeah. So once you get if anybody else wants to move to where they want to be, then you just move yourselves.
What I'd like to do while I'm in this doorway is to take my last torch and tinder and flint it, and I want to just get it going. I want to lay it on the floor in this doorway.
Okay, that's fine. And then are you moving?
I'll be moving towards a group. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'll watch that doorway.
Yeah.
The entrance in.
So there's no doubt at all that this is the portal. This is actually the portal. It's unlike any portal, Gulliver, that you've ever seen. It's not like the normal portals that the Blue Order create. It's the whole design of it is completely alien. The other portals glow with that bluish light, and this one is definitely very red. And then what you see in the middle of it appears to be a rather large
wood golem.
Well, I don't think Gulliver's not seen a wood golem, but it looks like almost like a large human made out of wood, and it seems to be dormant. It just seems to sit there. Sorry, I forgot about the break because we never had a break with Lolis. We just went straight through. So
we run out the room quickly.
Yeah, okay then. So we're going to have a quick 10-minute break now. So if you're watching the stream, then go out, stretch your legs, etc. And we will be back at 9 o'clock, which will be dead on the stroke of 12. So until then, do come back, and we will see you soon.
We will be dead on the stroke of 12.
Yeah, you will be.
Quickly, did we see the Andy Circus, the Hobbit reading? And donate.
It was like 11 hours.
It was brilliant. He did all the voices and everything. And when he Gollum do the puzzles, do the riddles in the cave, he did the Gollum voice. It was like, oh,
fantastic! I just heard sort of like the last little bit of it. Just to let you know, something I didn't tell you while you were down there. These beetle swarms. Okay, so there's a rule in Mythras for a swarm of something, and it's done on size. Okay, so if you think that something like the bigger the size, the more it can sort of like cover of your body. Okay, and then so something like size 12.
Just 1 second. Why are you explaining it? We're not going to meet these things again. We've put a torch out the door.
Well, I wanted to give you some idea about what. So size 12 would cover your complete body, if that makes sense.
Oh God.
So there was on that floor somewhere probably more than like 24.
It's like the chuffing mummy.
Yeah,
I was thinking that. Scarab.
That's what I watched just before. That's what I watched
Beetles.
just before I made up the adventure.
Good idea.
I thought that's a good idea. Let's not bother with little things. Okay, so you're in this room and there's this wooden humanoid beast stood. I really like the token, by the way. I don't know if you can actually see it, but on the bottom, let me just move it up. Can you see his bottom hand comes out of the token, which I just love.
Do you know, it looks like a superhero landing.
It does, yeah. So as the light hits this, so first of all, let me just explain. This is probably about. It's quite big. It's almost like human size, but a little bit more stockier. And you can actually see up on there as the light casts on it. You can see almost like bits of things, like a doorknob or a handle somewhere, or a bit of a picture frame, or a bit of a cupboard. You know, that's also it's like being welded together to form this beast. It seems to be exactly as it's depicted, in the sense that it seems to be down on one knee and one hand sort of like down resting itself up, and the other one up like this. And as you sort of like cast the light on it, you suddenly notice that beetles sort of like scurry out of it, as if they were sort of like almost like living in there. And as the light catches it, they sort of like go like that, and they sort of like almost like pour out of holes and sort of like scatter around the room, and they seem to be almost like keeping out of the torchlight.
Is it facing towards the seating area?
It's the seating area being here.
No, there was some cushion things there. What we saw.
Oh yeah, they were up here. Yeah, no, this is facing towards away from you, as if it was going down the room. You're not too sure what happens beyond your torchlight, but you figured that obviously this circle's going to finish off, and I mean you can't see the other end of the room. You can't even see the ceiling at the moment. You just almost like, you just feel, you know, if the torch went out, it would be as if you're just sort of like in some kind of sensory deprivation tank. It's just huge and cavernous.
So it looks like we need to move this wooden thing to unblock the portal, and then we can get out of here.
Have you ever seen anything like this before, Bartleby?
I roll my my monster stories skill.
Yeah, by all means.
Or lore monsters. I got hard.
Yeah, you have heard of these creatures beforehand. They're not monsters. They're actually created by humans to almost like as servants, as almost like to do their will. And you do know that it's not divine magic that sort of like breathes the life into it. It is sorcerer magic. You know, religion would never build something like this. If anything, it's the realm of the sorcerers who build these creatures, golems, but they build them from different materials. There was once a story, if you're aware of it, Bartleby, of some sorcerer making a flesh golem out of dead bodies from the graveyard, and they thought it was under control, but it actually destroyed the village as it went mad, you know. And people would go and say, "That's my auntie's arm." And that's Grandma's hole over there. Just
You had to go there.
Oh no. Barley will recount all of this to his group and end it saying, of course, my mentors told me that since we are servants to the gods, we shouldn't be making servants. That takes away our purpose. Clearly just a thing of sorcery. Don't you know about golems, Gulliver?
Have you encountered anything?
Does the Order of the Kraken not make golems? I would have thought that might have been a better way to simplify their bluebird force.
Well, if they do, they don't tell apprentices about it.
You've never seen anything like this before, Gulliver. You've not read any books about it in the Blue Order. The Blue Order is all about communication, teleportation, transportation. It's not in the realms of actually creating creatures.
But you say it's magic in nature.
Well, not pure magic. I mean, it's not divine. It comes from mankind.
But if it's magic and if it's sorcery created, then I have a chance of neutralizing the magic that maybe holds it together.
Mm.
Would that work?
Well, it's worth a shot. The
magic used to create something like that must be huge.
I was just going to say most of the stories I've read.
So it sounds as if somebody's reversing.
Somebody's microwave's gone pink.
This bit
Gulliver is reversing.
In Wills, what's the drop like from the level that we're on to the floor where the
it's not
barrier is?
It's down to this. It's only like probably between 50 to a meter. It's not major.
Okay.
I would have to be close, though, real close to be able to neutralize the magic, to even stand a chance of having any effect.
Seems like that's the best option at the moment. Last option is to obviously dismantle it ourselves.
Take the torch, Bartleby.
I take the torch and then I
Are you just trying to keep me busy? Just take.
Well, it's a little bit warm. There's no grip on this torch, so it's easy to get splinters. Nobody really wants to be holding it
for a huge amount. Right, chink. There you go.
Now pass to Hengist.
Yeah.
I'll stick close to Gulliver so that he has he needs to work his human magic.
There is another light here, Hasra. I do know it's there, so if anything comes through there, I will let you know.
As Hasra's at the back there, he's looking towards that door.
Yeah, the doorway there, yeah.
Is there another doorway just out of interest this way? I cannot see that.
You can't actually see it. It's on the edge of Bartleby's light at the moment. You assume that they're... This is a pretty good comedy group. Meet the gang, cause the boys are... It's like, pass the torch to the left-hand side. Yeah, so if... You probably assume that it's symmetrical.
In which case...
To move to the edge of the torchlight here and almost like crouch, go down onto one knee.
Yeah.
And Gulliver will say to Bartleby.
Gulliver will say to Bartleby.
Bartleby.
I don't know.
Sorry, you are not playing your character tonight.
Orders, Gulliver. Hazard will say to Bartleby, is it not possible to light these large fire pits like over here to create more light?
Well, all things are possible through Amriel, but if there's no fuel, it might be more difficult.
I understand.
Or no accelerant. You might need an accelerant as well.
But from what Gulliver
got,
they were just full of used ash.
Say again, sorry?
Were they just full of used ash?
Charcoal and used ash, yeah.
Right.
Bartleby would like to try something though, just to be sure. I just want to check if it's ranged. It is ranged, but Bartleby's gonna walk sort of like over here, so he's closer to the container. And looking at the charcoal, he's going to try and cast
Ignite.
Yeah, you already know. Just to see if Amriel will light the darkness and keep us safe. Here is my folk magic roll.
Oh, my.
41.
I was going to let you augment it with your devotions just to see how well you do. Okay, so I'm going to say that it lights up, but it's not burning significantly. There seems to be some kind of fuel left in there, but it's nothing that's sort of like burning very brightly or anything like that. It's probably going to give you some light in that sort of like area. Let me put it, let me just put something on for you.
In moments like this, I wish I kept lamp oil and a lantern.
And a 10-foot pole.
A 10-foot pole.
No, he's still got a 10-foot pole.
400-meter rope.
Okay, so it's not giving off as much as your torches, but it is giving off
An ambient light.
It's not giving off anything.
Mood lighting.
Yeah.
Ooh, ah.
Can you see it lit up now?
I'm gonna move myself away to see. Oh yeah, I can.
Yeah.
And then after doing this, Bartleby will turn around to everybody else and say, "Amriel reveals."
That is very good, Mr. Bartleby. Very good indeed.
I'll go back to over by Gulliver so I can help give him light for what I presume was his neutralizing of magic. Or whatever plan he was trying to do with the circle.
Yeah.
Trying to hide on the edge of the shadow so that he could get in there unseen. That's gone by the way. He'll look to Bartleby. He'll look to Hengist. But he'll just shake his head and he'll quietly, as quiet as he can, try to get down off the edge and approach it.
Cool. When you say quietly, do you wish to roll a stealth roll?
Yeah, I want to try stealth.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, you sort of like slip down and sort of like touch the ground. It's marble. This actual portal is inlaid in the actual marble. It's the first time you've ever seen a portal like this. Normally it's just sort of like painted on the ground or something like that, but this is physically inlaid. It looks really impressive as well. It really does look super impressive.
Okay, I mean he's going to have to get close. He's going to have to get within touching distance, so he's going to try to make his way.
Okay, so you can start creeping your way. While Gulliver slips off the thing and starts to sort of like go towards the golem, what's the rest of you doing?
Just stood there.
I thought he was touching the edge of the circle or something. Didn't know he was going inside of it.
Hengist will get down from the platform, so sort of like he will ease himself down.
Clank. Yeah. To where?
And so he eases himself down, and then he wants to make his way around to sort of like be next to Gulliver.
Okay.
And he's got his sword ready just in case this thing is living.
Okay, yeah. Bartleby, are you staying up there? Hazra, what's going to be your plans?
Hazra's going to move to. This is a bench here, isn't it? Or some kind of like dais type.
That's a lectern.
A lectern
That you would stand behind and proclaim.
Yeah.
Bartleby's actually stood in front of it a few times and just like practices oratory.
But with his lectern at his back, he wants to be watching this side and this side with the torches, just to make sure nothing's coming behind them. He's vigilant. He wants to be there to give a warning in case something comes through the door.
Okay.
Or doors.
Yeah. And what about Bartleby? What are you going to be doing?
I'd like to move a little bit back, trying to get a little cover for myself and reduce the light now that I see he's not just touching the edge of the circle. Could I cast a prayer on Hazra if he's willing in this time frame? I wanted to say, in case of danger, I want Amriel to bless your spear.
Well, Hazra's seen this before, so he will willingly acknowledge Azrael's blessing.
Okay, yeah.
What?
You'll be able to cast it. Just let's see whether or not you have a crit roll or fumble. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So remember, your spear now is
now sharpened one level up.
Yeah, one level up. Okay then, so we go back to Gulliver and Hengist. Hengist almost like standing guard over Gulliver. Gulliver, are you going to cast neutralize magic?
Yeah, so Gulliver's plan is to get as close to it as he can within touching distance, and then he's going to cast the neutralize magic spell. So as he does it, he holds out his hand, and above it starts to shimmer a small ball of water that gets faster, and then he's almost like tries to push it into the golem.
Yeah. So this, I think it's on magnitude, isn't it?
Yeah. So this will be my spell. That will be my spell coming off.
So it'd be magnitude of 11. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, go for it. Oh, nice. Yeah, so you
and I'll lose. You also use a point of luck to swap those round.
Yeah, I don't think I actually get a save.
I don't know. I'm not.
The magic is negated as long as the duration of which, in most cases, is more than enough. Against spells or miracles which specifically have neutralized magic can be used if targets are affected. Yeah, so that's absolutely fine. 3 times your intensity, which I think your intensity is 11, was it? 10.
My intensity was 10.
10, yeah, so 3 times it. So this sort of like beast is like an 18, so that's absolutely fine. So you cast the spell and you see this water sort of like cascade over it, and as it cascades over it, you see it releasing the magic, and you sort of like concentrate on it, and the water starts to drip over the sides, and as it drips over the side, you see it slowly removing something. And as you sort of like continue to do it, you suddenly realize a little bit too late that there is some a magic over the top of this golem, almost like keeping it there, as if it was, and you see it manifest itself as black chains reaching backwards and forwards over this, and the water sort of like cascades around, and your spell, Gulliver, is powerful enough to remove these black chains, and you see the chains slowly dissolve and almost like get washed away. And as your spell finishes and you finish your neutralize magic spell, it suddenly dawns on you that you have neutralized magic, but you've neutralized the magic that was keeping this thing in place. And as that suddenly dawns on you, you hear as the golem takes a raspy, almost like not needed artificial breathe in, and you hear the wood creak and almost like bend and buckle as it sort of like starts to stand up. Okay, let's have some initiatives, shall we? Don't forget to click on your toucan.
Oh, get in with a 17. I think that's the highest initiative Hengist has ever had.
I got a 13. That's embarrassing.
I got a 21.
Show off.
I'm not there, so it's fine.
Right, let's move this.
Oh my god! I rolled a 2.
Oh, Hazra.
I know.
You didn't sacrifice the bunny rabbit to the dice gods.
I know. Back to.
Right, I just need to see how many cards I need out for action points. 3.
Dozen.
1,000. Okay, yeah, and this sort of like beast, sort of like its head sort of like turns round, and you hear that awful creak of wood. And on its action, on its first action on 21, it almost like levers itself up. It's standing taller than you are. It's not quite double the size of a person, but it is quite, it's probably a little bit taller. It's about, say, 6-7 foot, but quite broad as well. And it just sort of like, it uses its first action just on 21 to actually elevate itself. So Gulliver,
Thank you.
Gulliver, you're up. Sorry, am I boring you, Medivac?
I've been up since really early. Sorry.
Gulliver, you go on 19.
Okay, I'm going to start casting a spell, exactly the same spell that I've just cast. See whether or not now I can neutralise the
magic from within. Yes.
I won't re-roll it again because you got the stuff up there.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Is it 2 turns? Thank you. Hengist, you're on 17.
So seeing this thing rising up, Hengist is going to attack it with his sword, two-handed.
Yeah, cool.
Because he's thinking it's going to swipe Gulliver, because it's probably about twice the height of Gulliver. Make sure I click the right one. Yep, so I got a 36 on a 62 standard.
Yeah, and it's sort of like as you sort of like come down on it, it sort of like takes an arm round to sort of almost like trying to block the shot, and gets 83 out of 62. So it sort of like misses the sword all the time. So you will have a special hit location damage.
I will. So the special is going to be Sunder, which he can do with the two-handed sword. And the hit location, I need to click on myself, is going to be on its right leg.
Yeah.
And then you want damage. Make sure I click the right one. So 9 points of damage onto his right leg.
Okay, and your Sunder does.
Sunder is. So the attacker may use a suitable weapon to damage the armor or neutralize protection of the opponent. Any weapon damage after reductions for parrying or magic is applied against the armor point value of the protection.
Okay.
Surplus damage in excess of its armor points is then used to reduce the AP value of the armor.
Right. So surplus damage in excess of its armor. Yeah, so I know what its armor is. You did 9 points. Whereabouts did it go, sorry? Right leg.
On right leg.
So that will remove that. Yeah, got it. So that's now that. And that's 9 points to its... oh no, that's the wrong place. 9 points to its right...
It's right leg.
Right leg,
attacked.
thank you.
Yeah.
Right leg, here it is. So that's down to 18 and 9 points. Okay then, so 9 points just goes out of its minor wound. It's 1 point into its major wound, which means I will roll. So it's into a serious wound, so I will roll my endurance and see what I get. Endurance 72. Yeah, I make my endurance check. So is that no? Sorry, against your original. What was your original attack roll?
Original attack roll was 36.
36. I get 28, so therefore you actually win. So you probably slash through the wood, and it's just sort of like stumbles to one side, and it's that awful thing that it breaks a whole load of the wood, and the golem sort of like slumps down on one side, and there's that splintering sound as it sort of like hits the ground, and bits of wood actually fly out from its legs. You notice some of them glance off your armor, but you notice that they're not like little tiny splinters. They are
big chunks.
Yeah, absolutely dangerous splinters. Bartleby, you up?
Seeing that the neutralized magic of Gulliver's powers didn't necessarily crush it, Bartleby would like to cast Witch Sight, pray to Amriel to get some vision, see if he can get some more information, because he's not sure why the golem should be standing, or shouldn't be standing. Anyways, can I use a point of luck to make that a 48? You
certainly can. Yeah, this the golem is surrounded by sorcerer magic. It's definitely nothing divine. It's almost as if you can see the magic trailing through it, almost like a nervous or blood system, sort of like keeping it all together. And where the leg has been broken off, you see the black tendrils sort of like trying to grab at something, almost like to pull it back together, but being totally and utterly unable to find anything. In normal sight, it doesn't look. It just looks like a huge wooden golem. But in witch sight, you can almost see the black tendrils coming around it. Hazra, you're up.
Hazra, with a free action, will look at this wooden golem, and he'll turn to Bartleby after seeing what he's just done with the fire pit. He'll say, "Burn it!" And then he will move and place himself in front of Gulliver while not blocking him, in a sense, but he's ready to protect him.
He's right there up against the golem because he was touching it last time.
Right. Okay. Well,
so you can push him out the way if you wish.
I don't wish to do that now because clearly he's doing this magical heebie-jeebie.
Okay, so you go to one side.
I will go to one side with the intention of defending Gulliver.
Okay.
If something happens.
So that's fine. So we come up to combat turn 2 now. The golem is out of actions, so he sort of like tried to block a parry and got up on its round. So in this 5 seconds, that's all he can do. He's rather slow in moving. Gulliver, you're up on 19. I assume this would be your second turn of spell casting, which I think it takes 2 turns. Did you say?
So this spell, the second dispel magic or neutralize magic, come on. So again, as this thing's sort of like being engaged in combat with Hengist, Gulliver's sort of been standing there again, summoning up this ball of spinning water, and he'll once again sort of like almost like trying to drive his hand into the golem itself to try to neutralize the magic.
Yeah, and you sort of like fire your magic into the actual golem, and you can probably see on the magical sense the water washing away these black tendrils that are sort of like keeping the golem together. And as you sort of like withdraw the magic from it, you suddenly notice that this golem is swaying somewhat. Okay then, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Somebody needs to roll for me an 8-sided die. Hengist, we're up to you. What would you like to do?
Hengist is going to continue attacking this golem, or wooden tree man thing. He doesn't quite know what it is. All he knows is he doesn't want it hurting Gulliver. So he'll take another 2-handed swing with the sword against it. So we got a 12 on 62.
That's fine. So you'll have... I can't defend, so again it'll be your special hit location damage.
Okay, so special this time will be choose location. He's going to choose left leg.
Okay.
And damage.
Right leg, you mean?
No, he wants to take out the left leg.
I want to take out the legs. So he will choose left leg and damage. Nope, 3 this time.
Oh, from the sublime to the ridiculous. Yeah, you sort of like whack. You probably got caught on a doorknob or something like that as you swing across. And Bartleby, you're on 15.
Do I still have my witch sight active?
Yeah, to the end of the scene.
Does it look like it's become devoid of magic, or just like a decreased?
It looks like the black tendrils are being washed away by Gulliver's magic.
Okay. Well, just be careful. I'm going to take Hazard's idea and send a little ignite over there. If it's going to roll.
The ignite, thank you.
There we go.
Yeah, so you sort of like send the ignite over, and it sort of like hits the wood, and this wood is extremely dry, and it looks like it's been almost like desiccated over the years, and so it's extremely dry, brittle, but also flammable, and your ignite hits it, and it just sort of like goes like that. It's almost like a burning wicker man, and it's a sort of like, it seems to be tottering now, whirling around like this. You notice that just roll a hit location for me, please, Bartleby. 19, that's the head, I think, without looking.
Yeah.
It's sort of like you sort of like threw it, and it sort of like went straight into the face, and now its face is all sort of like burning and turning to brown and charcoal, and it's sort of like it's not howling or anything like that, but it's sort of like whooshing around like this, not being able to see. And Hasra, what would you like to do on 13? You're muted.
Yeah, sorry. Seeing this thing burst into flames and knowing where it's come from, he wants to try to move Gulliver backwards and himself away from the burning, huge monstrosity that should not be.
Okay then. Roll a brawn roll. Gulliver, if you would like to oppose it, you're more than welcome to, or if you're quite letting him do it, then that's up to you.
Oh. I got a 73 out of 78.
What exactly is he doing?
He's trying to drag you away.
What? So he's coming up behind and then dragging him back?
No, I'm already at your left hand side.
So I presume, are you pulling him sort of like down here?
So literally, I'm grabbing your arm and trying to move backwards with you.
Backwards. So away
from the fire, basically.
Yeah,
I don't want Gulliver to get burned. Yeah.
Okay, then. So Gulliver, do you wish to resist?
No.
No. Okay, then. So you try to pull with your brawn roll, and did you want to use a point of luck, because you haven't actually succeeded at a standard roll there?
No, I haven't. But no, I don't want to use a point of luck because it's purely an instinct thing where it's just like.
Okay, then. So you sort of like try to pull Gulliver, and try to get him out the way. You're not concentrating on any spells, are you, Gulliver?
No.
Okay. And you sort of like pull him away, and Gulliver sort of like comes a bit with you, and you just sort of like manage to pull him, but not in the direction that you want him to go. And you pull him off to one side, and the golem on fire, -1 leg now. Did somebody roll a d8?
Yeah, I got 4.
Yeah. So this one is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it'd be the back corner. So the golem sort of like stutters for a while, and then just sort of like it almost like comes forward to you, Hengist, and you're just sort of like thinking, I wish I had my shield now. And then at the next moment it sort of like leans back, and it just topples backwards and crashes to the ground, and it's sort of like on fire, and it's sort of, when it hits the deck, it sort of like splinters left, right, and centre, and it almost like has no form now, no form at all, and it seems like it's gone. It just seems to be sort of like sat there, slightly burning, and sort of like a little bit.
So a good light source.
Yeah, and it's at that point that Bartleby, you hear a sound coming just from from the east, so from your left, and you hear the sound that sounds like this.
Golf clap.
And it's definitely some kind of clapping, and you look round, and you notice that walking up the stairs is a very elderly man. He's slightly bent. He's clad out in a black robe. The hood is down, and he's got one of those heads that sort of like there's almost like just faint wisps of grey hair or white hair in it. His face is all extremely old. It's almost like creased and battered from centuries, it looks like. And his walk, he's carrying a staff with him, and he's just sort of like plonking it down now, so, and using it to sort of like move. And he sort of like walks towards you, and as he sort of like gets closer, you sort of like look at him. Is there anything you would like to do, Bartleby?
Yeah, I would like to try and look commanding and say, "Are you Azoic, the master of this tower?"
And he sort of like he sort of like gets closer, and he's just sort of like looks at you, and he's almost like got this toothless grin on his face, almost like demonic, just like a couple of teeth left. And he sort of like, he seems to make a noise. He seems to sort of goes like that, and he sort of like walks. He doesn't seem to be threatened by you at all. He just sort of like as if you weren't actually there. And he gets to the end of the dais there, and the three of you are on the floor. You sort of like hear that of his staff, and you notice that the base of it is actually iron shod. So it's got a cover on it that is complete, and it's not the same tapping as you heard earlier. It's a completely different tap. And he sort of like comes down, and you notice that his robe is almost like black void. It seems to almost be absorbing the light. It seems to be that black. It's as if there's nothing shining off it or anything like that. You don't think it's magical. Although, Bartleby, when you look at him, he is radiating magic. He's got several things on him that seem to be very powerful. And he sort of like comes clipping across, and he sort of like stands on the edge, and he sort of like peruses the burning golem. And he turns round to all three of you, and he sort of like makes eye contact with each one of you, and then comes back to you, Gulliver, and says, "Well done. You have been taught well, I see. Welcome back."
Back? Well, what do you mean back?
Back to your home, Gulliver.
What? Live here? I've come to clean the portal.
Ah, yes. Well, I had to get you here somehow. Yes, but welcome back. It's lovely to have you back in the walls. It's been some time, but I'm so pleased that you are back.
You've mistaken me for somebody else.
Yeah.
We're just here to clean to open the portal again.
Oh, yes, I see. You're still in denial. Don't worry, it will pass. This, Gulliver, is your home.
My home's nothing like this.
You have come back, it would seem. You have journeyed a long way, and you have eventually found your way back. We thought you would, eventually.
Who's we? What are you talking about?
Well, the order itself. And I was hardly going to give it to Fulvio, wasn't I? Pompous, young, ignorant, arrogant soul. I need somebody who is strong with magic, somebody who knows how to wield it. No, somebody who will treat the gift beneficial and to do great things with it.
I think maybe you're insane. I've got no intention of...
Insane. I've been taught. I've been called a lot of things in my life. Insane is what they say to me often. I see. I see great.
That you covered the portal on purpose to get us here.
Well,
and you sent the Forbury to talk to Mistress Duncan to make sure that I was the one who sent here.
No, Forbury has a completely different agenda. I blocked the portal to stop him coming back here. And he sort of like pauses for a while, and then he almost like acts out something, and he changes his voice. I am your apprentice. You owe me lots. Give it to me or else. Ha! Would you believe it? Give it to him. I nearly did. Well, I hope the burns heal up eventually.
So, how did you know I would be sent?
Because I have been watching you. Since you returned. Since you came back to the continent. Your master taught you well, although I am somewhat disappointed with your choice. But I suppose that can be rectified.
We're going to clear this and then we're going.
Well, there is one thing that I would like you to do for me, if at all possible.
We don't do stuff for mad people.
You work for the sorcerers. We are all mad, or it will drive us mad.
Master Healy's the sorcerer. He's not mad. He's kind and gentle.
Yes.
And forgiving. He saved me.
Yes.
And asked for nothing in return apart from...
He saved you and taught you the way, did he not?
He did.
And whose spells did he teach to you?
He learnt them from a journal that belonged to a sorcerer called Fladnag.
Oh yes, great man, great sorcerer as well. A shame about what happened in the end, but I told him not to dabble in things that he could not control. When Gulliver first came to Odess, he had a rack spell. Tell me how that manifested itself.
Well, he has a pendant that from the journals. It was, I think you have it in your what do you call it actually, in your little bits. But that was the sign of Fladnag, and he used to use that to power the spell, and it used to be tendrils of black smoke that used to come out and then wrap it around the location, and then it almost like almost like lightning. It used to crackle with lightning and do the damage.
Yeah, and the guy, Azoic as it is him. He sort of like says about who taught you the spells, and he holds out his left arm. It's not coming towards anybody, and he utters some words, and these black tendrils come out from his hand with lightning that sort of like ricochets and flashes within, and then he slowly pulls it back and he says, "It look familiar."
I don't use that. I don't use those spells anymore.
Of course.
I haven't since.
It is your choice.
The Kraken.
Gulliver. Yes, a poor choice.
The magic was evil.
Evil? Magic is neither good nor evil, Gulliver. You should know that by now. Good and evil do not reside in magic itself. It lies in the persons or people or creatures that actually use the magic. Magic itself is not bad. It's not good either. It is just what it's made to do in the hands of the sorcerer. We are not evil because we don the black robes. We just like to do things differently, and having the black robes certainly releases a lot of powerful magic to us.
What do you want?
Oh, I have something for you. I got something for you. Something that I think you would like. Something that will benefit you greatly. And you... No. But something that will benefit you absolutely greatly. And you will certainly like it. There are very few of these around. And he sort of like reaches inside his robe and he brings out a little urn, almost like an urn that is almost like a ashes that, you know, when somebody dies they put the ashes in, and he sort of like looks at you and says,
How big is it?
About this big.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
And he sort of like takes it out and he says, "Do not worry, Gulliver, this is not the real thing. Although I am sure that if you would like it, would like the real thing, then I'm sure we could come to some, shall we say, arrangement. And, of course, all of this tower. Do you know what it is, Gulliver?"
Is it a salt pot?
No, close. Very close indeed. It is a soul jar. So a soul jar is a container that a sorcerer can trap their own soul in, which actually means that they cannot be killed. They do not age. As long as their soul is within the jar, then if they die, it'll just go back to the soul jar and be almost like reborn, and that's it. So it's almost like a cheat death magical item, a bit like what liches have. The issue with them is that the person still ages but not dies. So a Zoic could be years old absolutely years, decades, centuries old, you will not actually know, because his soul is trapped in the jar that he's done on purpose. Hence why he said that this one is not the real one, because if it was, if you grabbed it and smashed it, then that would be it. So I think liches in D&D have something similar that they sort of like keep to one side. So it's the actual counterpoint. There's the same sort of like item, however it's just a spell that sorcerers can use. But the issue about them is that there's very, very it's very, very rare, and you know, not every sorcerer has one, and yet there's one in this tower, in the Dark Tower, and that suddenly makes it very aware why Forbury wants to get here. And
does Gulliver know the? I suppose he's researched the various spells that are open to him from the Kraken, so he knows that Trap Soul.
Yeah, I think you even.
Sorry, it's called Hide Life, isn't it? That, but so he knows the advantages, but he also knows the disadvantages of the spell. Once it's cast.
Yeah, and he sort of like you know all that, you researched the spell because you were thinking of learning at one point, but you became very much aware that the actual pots are extremely rare. You know, you don't know of any, apart from in legend of folklore, of anybody who's actually got one. And it would appear that Azoic stood in front of you actually has a soul jar that he can hide his life force in it to actually protect him, and so he won't actually die. Is it hide life?
So I think the disadvantage of it is that you lose one hit point per location.
So it conceals the recipient's soul in a specially prepared object called a soul jar. It only works on targets with a maximum power of up to twice the intensity of the spell. Under its effect, the recipient loses a single hit point from every location, but in exchange cannot be killed. Each time they suffer any injury, infliction or spell which would normally slay them, at the moment of death their body disappears and reforms next to the object in which the life force is stored. It takes the body a period of 1 month divided by intensity to become fully reformed and heal. Okay. Hide life can be dismissed or neutralized, but requires counter magic to be cast directly on the soul jar, which is normally well hidden and protected. Although hide life prevents death, it does not cease aging, as many sorcerers who later become withered liches have discovered to their cost.
Does it not restrict how far you can go away from it, though?
The range, it takes the body a period of 1 month divided by intensity of the to reform, and the recipient ventures further away from the soul jar than the range of the spell. It begins to degenerate, suffering damage in reverse, dying beyond the reach of the spell. So, and I need to check this, I think that bit comes after it comes back to the jar. But even if the range is hindered, Azoic has obviously got one, and as you probably are aware, he's been in his Dark Tower for some years. Gulliver, he says, the proposition is quite simple. you become my apprentice. You join the Black Robes. And this, and he looks around, and my copy of this, and he sort of like shakes the soul jar, and becomes yours. I am old, withered. I am dying, and I long for death. I long to be taken over. Living is so hard, but I want an apprentice of our closest followers, the people who strove to make the black-robed sorcerers, the Order of the Lich, powerful. We have lived here for centuries, and you, Gulliver, are one of us. You belong here. This is your home. If you just become my apprentice, then your journey to power, your journey here will be completed, but your journey to ultimate power will just be beginning. And with that, we will draw tonight's session to an end. Until next time. There's one thing that, Gulliver, I hope came across there. This Azoic has not referred to you as a boy, as somebody who is insignificant, somebody who is, you know, not important. Right from the beginning, he sort of like communicated
as equals almost.
Yes, but also with the potential to be
the Skywalker.
You are the chosen one, Gulliver. The chosen one.
Excellent. So we will leave it there for this week, and we will come back next time to see what Gulliver's choice is going to be and what they decide to do. You still got the issue that the portal needs to be worked, and remember that there needs to be some kind of explanation. I forgot her name again. Gulliver's mentor. I always want to call her Ordery, but Danielle Duncan. Ask you for certain things, and the other thing that you have to be aware of is that there's a swarm of black beetles somewhere in this. You
can hear them. You can hear them encouraging.
So thank you everybody who's come along to join the session today. It's lovely seeing so many of you in the chat contributing, and we really do appreciate it. It's really nice for us to see that, and we hope you've enjoyed it. It's not Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, but it is its own fantastic rule set, and like I often say and write about a lot of the time, the rule set doesn't really matter. The important thing is that it's role playing, and that's what we like, and it doesn't matter what the rule set is. It's the role playing that is important. So yes, if you would like to see any other of our actual plays, then you can find them all on YouTube, including the ones that we did the last 2 weeks, when the rule set is called Mythras. It's generated from RuneQuest 6 when it was, but on the last 2 adventures we've had the wonderful honor to actually have as our GM one of the creators of the rule set, Lawrence Whitaker. So he actually came up, and just get the book. So this is the rule set, and you can see down at the bottom Pete Nash and Lawrence Whitaker. And Lawrence Whitaker actually came and GM'd for us as a group, which was absolutely fantastic and gave us a whole lot of insight into the rules. So if you're interested to see more, then do go and have a look, and do get in touch with me. Until then, I will be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock BST time to stream some Elder Scrolls Online, and then on the evening evening, it's over to Overwatch, where I play support. Do keep an eye on what's happening throughout the week. It'd be lovely to see you again. And like I said, I hope you have enjoyed tonight's adventure. Any of the players wish to make any announcements or say anything?
None from me.
No.
No.
I'm COVID free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So until next time, can I please remind you to stay safe, stay 2 meters apart, stay healthy, make sure you're obeying those social distancing. We are here obeying social distancing. You know, there's a scale. Everybody's the right distance.
Yes. Coffee.
Yeah. So we will catch you all next time. Until then, please remember to be who you are and say what you think, because the people who mind don't matter, and the people who matter don't mind. Have fun, everyone, and we will catch you all later. And until then, happy Mythrasing. See you all later, people. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
This video is sponsored by the Design Mechanism, the makers of Mythras. Mythras is a registered trademark of the Design Mechanism Inc., used with permission. All rights reserved.